I'm Linda Parker, 69 years old, widow of a good man named Tom, mother of one son, Jason, and grandma to two kids who can melt me like butter on warm toast. I've spent most of my life cooking for people I love, counting coupons and keeping the lights on when the month lasted longer than the paycheck. I have never been fancy, but I have always been faithful. That counts for something where I come from. The day this story started, the kitchen smelled like Sunday. Roast chicken, potatoes in the oven, green beans with a little bacon because life is short. Ethan and Lily were at the table colouring. A football game mumbled on the TV in the living room, and the dog kept circling like he was next in line for a blessing. I set a basket of rolls down, reached for the butter, and heard my sons say, too loud for a whisper and too soft for a shout, "You eat, but don't help." The words didn't fall. They thudded. I stood there with the butter knife in midair and looked at him. Jason didn't meet my eyes. He was scrolling on his phone like the screen might apologize for him. Brooke, my daughter-in-law, kept her head down, straightening napkins that didn't need straightening. "Excuse me?" I asked, polite as a porch light. Jason shifted, didn't look up. "I'm just saying, Mom. We cover everything. Groceries, utilities, kid stuff. You just live here." It was a small lie wrapped in a big one. I looked at the mortgage statement tucked under a magnet on the fridge. My name sat there plain as daylight. Linda M. Parker. I'd paid that bill for 30 years. Tom and I had built equity with casseroles and second jobs. After he passed, I finished the race alone. When Jason and Brooke had trouble, job change, rent hike, two babies in daycare priced like private school, I said, "Come home. We'll figure it out together." Together. That was the word I used. "Dinner's ready," I said instead, because sometimes manners have to go first so the truth can arrive with a clean shirt. We all sat. Ethan asked for extra gravy. Lily didn't want her green beans touching her chicken. Little things that used to be the whole world. Jason took a noisy bite. Brooke thanked me without looking up. I tried to swallow around that one sentence like it was a pill too big to take. When the plates were pushed back and the kids ran off, I stacked dishes and turned on the sink. Jason lingered by the counter like a man waiting for a bus he didn't mean to catch. "Look," he said finally. "I didn't mean it like that." "How did you mean it?" I asked, warm water running over my hands, slippery with soap and restraint. He scratched his jaw. "You could help more. Sell some of your stuff. Maybe, I don't know. Chip in for the kids' activities. Brooke's doing everything. I'm working late. You're here." I shut off the water and dried my fingers slow. "Jason, honey, I pay the mortgage. I cover property taxes, I buy the groceries more often than not. I just don't make a parade out of it. I clean. I cook. I pick up your kids from school. That's called helping." I smiled a little so the words wouldn't feel like a slap. "And this isn't your house to run me out of, or run me over in." He flinched like I'd turned the light on too fast. "I didn't say that." "You kind of did," I said softly. Brooke appeared in the doorway then, arms crossed like a folded flag. "We're just asking for fairness," she said. "Jason's stressed. We're drowning. And you, well, you're comfortable." "Comfortable?" I laughed, not unkindly. "Sweetheart, I know what every dollar in this house does when the lights are off. Comfortable is not the word I'd use." She shrugged, cheeks pink. "You don't understand how expensive things are now." "I do," I said. "I also understand what respect costs. It's more than rent." They went quiet. After a minute, Jason kissed my cheek, a quick, guilty thing, and said, "Thanks for dinner, Mom." The 4 words were right. The tone was wrong. When the front door shut and silence settled, I sat at the table and placed my palm on the smooth wood like it might feel my pulse. The house answered with its own. The soft hum of the fridge, the little tick of the thermostat, the dog sighing under the chair. I remembered Tom's voice saying, "We're a team, Lynn. A home keeps you, you keep it right back." I poured tea I didn't need and took the mail from the hall table. Between a coupon flyer and a church newsletter sat a glossy postcard from a realtor. Off-market cash buyers. No showings. Quiet, close. I turned it over, then back, then set it down like it might explode. I slept poorly, if you can call that sleep. At 4:12 a.m., I got up, made coffee strong enough to pick a fight, and opened a notebook. On the top line, I wrote, "What does helping actually look like?" Under it, I listed the mortgage amount, taxes, average utilities, grocery totals, and the 3 times last month I'd Venmo'd the kids' soccer fees. Then I wrote the sentence I couldn't unknot. "You eat, but don't help." I stared until the words blurred. Then I did what women my age do when the world forgets our math. I told the truth to paper. This house is mine. I invited them in. They forgot the invitation. The next afternoon, I drove to the credit union where the teller knows my voice and the manager knows Tom's middle name. I sat with a tidy woman named Nancy, who has kind eyes and a spine like a yardstick. "Nancy," I said, "purely hypothetically, if a woman owned her house free and clear, what could she do with it fast, quiet, and fair?" Nancy smiled the way professionals do when they've heard the backstory without needing the story. "You can do a lot of things fast and quiet," she said. "Fair is the trick." She slid a card across the desk. "If you choose to sell, talk to an attorney first. Protect yourself. And maybe talk to yourself too. You'll need to live with the echo." I thanked her, tucked the card in my purse, and drove to the park. The benches were all busy with young moms and strollers. I sat on the low wall near the fountain and watched a little boy launch a paper boat into the water like he believed in it. I've always thought boats made of paper do better than the ones made of pride. They know they'll get wet and float anyway. That evening, the house smelled like lemon cleaner and decision. I set an extra place at the table, not for company, for courage. Jason came home late, shoulders tight from a day punched hollow by emails. Brooke was in a mood that makes glass nervous. I kept my voice soft. "Sit," I said. "Eat." They did. Midway through, I pushed a folded paper across the table. It was a simple, clear, kind budget. Every cent I contribute, every bill I pay, every task I handle. No heat, just light. Jason scanned it, swallowed hard. I didn't realize. "I know," I said. "You weren't looking." I reached for his hand and left it there, open. "I love you. I love your kids. I am a helper by nature. I also refuse to be furniture." Brooke cleared her throat. What are you saying?" "I'm saying you will help me by speaking kindly in my house," I said. "You will help me by remembering whose name is on the deed. You will help me by taking your tone to the porch and letting it cool down before it comes in again." I smiled. "And I will keep helping you by doing the 100 invisible things that make a house run." Silence. Then Brooke said, "We can do that." Jason nodded, not quite meeting my eyes. "We can." I believed them for about 48 hours. 2 days later, I overheard Brooke on the phone in the driveway, voice pitched into that sweet tone people use when they want a yes without the truth. "We're trying to refinance," she said. "It's complicated because the house is in my mother-in-law's name, but she's old and doesn't really handle things." "Old? Doesn't handle things?" I felt the air thin. That night, the kids had homework. Brooke had a meeting. Jason had volleyball with the guys. I had time. I pulled the postcard from the drawer and dialed. A woman answered with a name as clean as her voice. "Hi, I'm Claire White. How can I help?" "Claire," I said, steady as a line on a page. "I might need to sell my home." Quietly. No sign in the yard. No open houses. Just a respectable price and a quick close. She asked my address. I told her. She sucked in a little breath I could hear. That's a good area, Mrs. Parker. You'll have more buyers than napkins. Why quietly? Because my son and his wife live here, I said, and words have been said that can't stay in my house much longer. She didn't laugh. Understood, she said. We do this a lot. Off-market showings, discreet appointments, signed NDAs. We've placed teachers, widows, veterans, single dads. People move quietly for all sorts of reasons. Fair and fast is our specialty. Is fair the trick? I asked, remembering Nancy. Always, she said. My job is to make sure you win without needing to gloat. We set a time for a walkthrough. Tuesday at 10, when Brooke would be at yoga and Jason at work. I hung up, then dialed one more number. The attorney on Nancy's card. His name was Ben Keller, a man whose voice sounded like a well-made chair. Mrs. Parker, he said, I can set up a trust to receive the proceeds, draft a letter of possession with breathing room, and keep this courteous. We'll also plan for the conversation the day you tell them. It will be the hardest part, but you won't be alone. I thanked him, then made a sandwich I didn't eat, and stood at the sink until the dog nuzzled my knee, like he knew a storm when he smelled one. The weekend arrived with soccer games and Costco runs and the kind of laundry piles that growl. I made pancakes for the kids and tucked a note into Ethan's cleats. Run hard. Remember who you are. I tucked one into my own pocket too. Run hard. Remember who you are. Sunday afternoon, Jason found me in the garden trimming roses. Mom, can we talk? He asked, scuffing the ground with his shoe like a boy who borrowed the car without asking. We can, I said, snipping a stem clean. He exhaled. I'm sorry. For the other night. Work's been rough. Money's tight. I shouldn't have said what I said. I didn't sign the offer that night. I slept on it, like Tom used to say. Big decisions deserve one sunrise. Morning came slow. The smell of coffee made it easier to be brave. I walked the house the way you walk through a museum of your own life. Every picture frame, every dent in the banister, every echo that knew our laughter by heart. It wasn't greed pushing me, it was clarity. Respect had packed its bags. Claire, the realtor, called at 9 a.m. sharp. Mrs. Parker, the buyers are standing by. When you're ready, we'll move the papers to escrow. Her voice was calm, crisp, trustworthy, like a good linen napkin. Not yet, I said. First, I need to make sure my heart can handle my mouth. She chuckled softly. Fair enough. Hearts make better lawyers than lawyers do. That afternoon, Brooke left for errands, Jason took the kids to a birthday party, and the house finally exhaled. I sat at the kitchen table with the folder in front of me, pen resting across the line that would start the transaction. This isn't revenge, I whispered to the air. This is restoration. And then I signed. One careful, deliberate signature that felt like both heartbreak and CPR. The next days moved fast. Claire handled everything like a woman born to manage storms in heels. Inspections, wire transfers, attorney updates, all done quietly. No yard sign, no whispers from neighbors, no changes big enough for Jason or Brooke to notice. When she texted, appraisal complete, buyer holding firm at 2.8 million. Closing in 3 weeks, I felt my pulse in my wrists. I poured iced tea and toasted the air. To fair and fast, I said. Soft hook pause. If you've ever been underestimated by your own family, listen close. Silence isn't weakness. It's the sound of strategy. The first weekend after I signed, Jason came home bragging about a bonus. We can finally start that kitchen remodel, he said, tapping the counter like it was already his. Brooke chimed in. Yeah, this wall could go down. Open concept. I smiled politely. You might want to hold off on tearing down any walls, I said. You never know which ones hold the house together. They laughed. I laughed too, quietly, the kind of laugh that knows something the room doesn't. The closing date landed on a Thursday. Claire arranged everything through my attorney's office downtown. Ben Keller walked me through the wire confirmation. "Funds will transfer Friday morning," he said. "You'll receive a settlement packet by courier." He paused, eyes kind. "Have you decided where you'll go next?" "Yes," I said. "About 10 minutes away. I've rented a sweet little condo overlooking the park. 2 bedrooms, so Ethan and Lily can sleep over." "Good," he said. "That keeps you close enough for love, but far enough for peace." The night before closing, the house hummed louder than usual, like it knew change was walking the halls. I turned off the lights one by one, whispering thank yous under my breath. Thank you for the roof that didn't leak, for the Christmas mornings, for Tom and his coffee spills that never stained the marble he was so proud of. At the end of the hall, I touched the door frame where Jason's height marks still hid under paint. He'd been 5 when we moved in. He's 40 now. Life sneaks up like that, 1 inch at a time. The courier arrived just before lunch with a sleek envelope and a smile. "Congratulations, Mrs. Parker." I signed, initialed, and sealed. With each motion, I felt lighter. By 3 p.m., the money was real. The house wasn't mine anymore. I stood in the kitchen, same spot where Jason once told me I didn't help, and whispered, "That's what help looks like." At 4 o'clock, Claire texted, "Funds cleared. Buyer requests occupancy next Friday. How do you want to handle notice?" Notice. The hardest word in the English language when it's aimed at your own child. I stared at my phone until it blurred, then typed, "I'll tell them tonight. Thank you for everything." She replied, "Be proud. You didn't just sell a house. You bought back your dignity." Dinner that evening was chicken and rice. Simple, quiet food for a loud decision. Jason came home grinning from ear to ear. "Guess what, Mom?" Brooke got the loan pre-approval. "We're finally going to refinance the house." I set down my fork. "Oh?" "Yeah," he said, pulling papers from his briefcase. "We'll take over the mortgage, free you up." "You deserve a break." Brooke smiled, that tight smile she uses when she wants me to agree without reading fine print. "All we need is your signature." I almost laughed. "You two and signatures," I said. "Always collecting mine like souvenirs." Jason frowned. "Mom," I interrupted gently. "Son, before we talk about paperwork, let's finish dinner." I made dessert. They both nodded, maybe relieved to postpone what they thought was going to be persuasion. After dishes, I brought out a small chocolate cake and 3 plates. The kids were at a sleepover. The house was ours to face each other. Jason cut the cake. Brooke poured coffee. I waited until their forks were halfway to their mouths. "I have something to tell you," I said. Jason smiled. "Please don't say you adopted another stray dog." "No," I said. "This one's about ownership, not adoption." They chuckled. I didn't. "I sold the house," I said plainly. The forks froze mid-air. Brooke blinked first. "What?" Jason set his down carefully, like it might explode. "Mum, what are you talking about?" "I sold it, quietly, to a good family. Closing was today." Brooke's voice rose an octave. "That's impossible. You can't just—" "I can," I said. And I did. Jason's face went pale. "You sold our home?" I met his eyes. "Sweetheart, it's my home." "You've been guests here, welcome ones, until you forgot the invitation." He stood up, running a hand through his hair, pacing. "This is insane." "Where are we supposed to go?" I kept my tone even. "You'll have 30 days. The buyers have given me 60 to vacate, but I only need 30. That gives you time to find a place." Brooke's mouth trembled between shock and anger. "You blindsided us." "I did it quietly," I said, because I didn't want to fight. I wanted to finish. Jason sank into the chair again, shaking his head. I can't believe you do this. Jason, I said softly, you told me I eat but don't help. So I helped. I helped you see that nothing in this world is permanent when respect leaves the room. He looked at me like he was seeing a stranger. Brooke looked at the walls like they might defend her. I never meant it, he said finally. You know that. I do, I said, and I'll remember it kindly, just not from under this roof. Gentle rehook for emotion. If you've ever been told you don't matter in your own home, remember, ownership is more than a deed. It's knowing when to close the door politely. Jason didn't speak the rest of the night. Brooke gathered dishes in silence, muttering something about betrayal. I let her. Every person deserves their version of the truth. When they finally went to bed, I stepped outside to the porch. The moon hung heavy and honest. I whispered, Tom, I did what you would have done. Quiet, fair, final. The wind rustled the rosebush. That was enough of an answer. The next morning, Ethan and Lily burst in with crayons and backpacks, their joy untouched by adult failures. Ethan handed me a drawing of a big yellow house. That's ours, he said proudly. It's beautiful, I said, tracing the crooked windows. Houses can change, baby. Love doesn't, he grinned. We're going to live near a park, I smiled. I think so too. Because that's where I plan to buy my condo, 5 blocks from their new school, with a park bench that caught morning light. By the weekend, the air in the house had changed. Jason avoided me. Brooke packed small boxes early, pretending it was spring cleaning. I cooked less, talked less, slept better. Claire came by Sunday evening to drop off documents and hug me goodbye. You did the right thing, she said. It's never wrong to choose peace. Peace takes work, I said, but so does staying angry. She smiled. Then you've already done both kinds. That night, I sat in the living room for the last time as owner. I looked around and felt no bitterness, only completion. The house had raised a boy, sheltered grief, held laughter, and now it would cradle another family's beginning. That's what homes are supposed to do, keep teaching after we move on. And tomorrow I'd start packing. Not running away, just moving forward. The morning after I told them, the house woke up before we did. Pipes sighed, the fridge hummed, the dog's nails click-clicked across the hardwood like a metronome for the day I'd planned, and they hadn't. I brewed coffee and stood at the sink while the sun found its way to the good corner of the counter Tom always loved. For a minute I just breathed. Victory doesn't feel like fireworks. It feels like steady air in your lungs after a long hill. Jason shuffled in, eyes swollen, hair a mess, the way boys look after sleeping in their worry. He opened his mouth, closed it, then reached for a mug. Morning, he said finally, like a truce. Morning, I answered. I slid the creamer toward him because manners don't stop working when feelings get loud. He stared into his cup. Mom, did you really close? Is there any way? It's done, I said gently, and I did it carefully. You'll have 30 days. I'll help with the moving truck. I'll watch the kids while you look for a place. I'm not throwing you out. I'm moving you forward. He rubbed his jaw. Forward feels a lot like down. It'll feel like up again when respect catches up, I said. Sit. Eat something. I slid a plate of toast across the counter. He didn't touch it. Brooke came in a few minutes later, tight ponytail, tighter jaw. She didn't say good morning. She went straight to the fridge and pulled out a yogurt like it owed her something. We have rights, she said to the door. You do, I agreed. And so do I. I followed them. We're going to do this fair. Her laugh was short and sharp. Fair would have been talking to us first. I took a breath. Talking is what I tried. Being heard is what I didn't get. I set a small notepad on the island. Let's make a list. Must-haves for your next place. School zone, budget, bedrooms. You two can add, and I'll help you search. She stared like I'd offered her a sweater in July. We don't need your help. Okay, I said, but it's here if you want it. Jason slid the notepad closer. 3 bedrooms. We can do a townhouse, close to school if possible. Brooke looked at him, surprised. Then at me, even more so. Why are you being nice? Because being right without being kind isn't my kind of right, I said, and the house felt less heavy for a second. Ben, my attorney, called mid-morning. How'd the conversation go? He asked. As well as telling a grown man to pack his room can go, I said. We're civil. Good, he said. I'll email their formal notice today with dates and the lease back terms. You'll have a copy. Thank you, Ben, I said. Am I a bad mother? He paused long enough for the truth to arrive. You're a good owner, he said softly. Sometimes they're the same thing. Sometimes one has to teach the other. After we hung up, I took a laundry basket to Ethan and Lily's room, the one I painted yellow when they moved in. I folded tiny sweatshirts and mismatched socks into neat stacks. I wasn't packing them out of my house. I was packing them toward their next place. That difference mattered to me, even if no one else cared. Claire stopped by at noon with a thin, efficient smile and a folder labeled Possession. The buyers have kids, she said, glancing at the yellow walls. They understand. Good, I said. Kindness should survive the escrow. She laid out a timeline on the table like a railroad map. Today's notice, next Friday's walkthrough, the following Wednesday's key exchange. We'll keep everyone treated like people, she said. That's my promise. You keep your promises, I told her. It shows. She smiled, more warmth now. My grandmother raised me. She said a promise is a door you build before the rain. By dinner, the tension in the house had learned how to sit on a chair. Jason helped set the table without being asked. A small miracle in a day that needed one. Brooke said little, but her anger had retreated from hot to simmering. That was something too. After the kids were asleep, Jason found me on the back steps, staring at the maple tree. Can I ask you something without you getting mad? He said. You can ask, I said. Me getting mad isn't likely. Why sell? He put his hands in his pockets and rocked on his heels like the boy who once confessed to breaking the hallway lamp. Why not just kick us out? Because selling fixed the problem that words couldn't, I said. It took the argument off the table. No more our house versus yours. It's no one's house now. A new family will love it. And I won't be the landlady of my own disrespect. He winced. That's harsh. It's accurate, I said softly. I'm not punishing you. I'm choosing peace. He sat beside me and we watched the neighborhood lights flicker on like stars with mortgages. I never meant that sentence, he said. You know that. I know, I said. Sometimes we don't mean the words that reveal us. We sat there quiet until the porch light timed out and came back on, as if to say keep going. The next week moved like a cautious parade. Ben's notice arrived. Jason signed to acknowledge receipt. Brooke did too, jaw clenched so hard I could hear the decision not to fight. She started packing the way efficient people grieve, by labeling boxes and avoiding the big words. I went to see my condo. It was on the 3rd floor of a modest building that smelled faintly of lemon oil and new carpet. 2 bedrooms, a tidy kitchen, a little balcony that faced the park. The leasing manager, a cheerful woman named Priya, handed me the keys for a preview. We call this Sunset 3C, she said. It gets the good light. It did. I stood in the living room and imagined Ethan building Lego castles on the rug, and Lily drawing the kind of flowers that look like fireworks. I pictured coffee on the balcony, church bells on Sunday, and the blessed silence of a place where no one kept score of who helped and who didn't. I said out loud, "Hello, next chapter." Priya smiled. "Welcome home." On my way back, I picked up pizza and a cardboard box of cinnamon rolls from the corner place where the owner still calls me Miss Linda, like I'm 22. When I set it all on the table, Jason raised an eyebrow. "What are we celebrating?" "Nothing," I said. "Everything." I handed him a slice and kissed the top of his head because love doesn't retire just because the address changes. Soft cue. If you're listening and your chest feels tight because this sounds like you, breathe. Boundaries can be soft. They can be set with dinner and paperwork and goodnight kisses. The kids took it better than anyone expected. Brooke told them on a Saturday morning, voice steady, hands steady, eyes not steady. "We're moving," she said. "New house adventure." Ethan cheered. "Can we be closer to the park?" Lily asked. "Will Nana still read to us?" Brooke looked at me. I answered, "Always." That afternoon, I took them to see my condo. We stood on the balcony and counted dogs in the park. Ethan found 4. Lily insisted one was a fox. We made a plan for sleepovers, Friday nights, popcorn, and blanket forts. On the way back, we stopped at the hardware store for paint chips. "Pick a color for Nana's guest room," I told them. Lily chose a soft blue called Morning Sky. Ethan wanted a green named Baseball Field. We compromised with a pale teal that made both of them smile like they'd invented it. 2 days before the walkthrough, Brooke came into the kitchen with an envelope. "My mum found a place near us," she said, not quite looking at me. "We can move there if we have to. Month to month until we buy." "If," I said, folding dish towels into neat squares. She exhaled sharply. "Fine." "When?" "When we have to." She set the envelope down and pulled out a sheet. "One thing. We'd like a little help with the deposit. Since you..." She stopped herself from saying, "Since you did this." "Since we're on a clock." I wiped my hands. "How much?" She told me. It was reasonable, not a dare. I nodded. "Yes," I said. "On one condition." She braced. "What?" "You speak to me with respect under any roof. Mine, yours, the grocery store, the dentist. If the budget gets tight again, you tell the truth instead of looking for someone to blame. And you and I both apologize to each other when we need to, not after it's convenient." Her shoulders dropped. "That's 3 conditions." "It's 1, I said. "It's called dignity." She swallowed, then nodded. "Okay." We shook on it like women who've decided to be on the same team at least for the next mile. The walkthrough with the buyers was kind. A tall woman with soft hands and a gentle sweater. A husband with laugh lines and good shoes. A daughter about 12 who trailed a finger along the banister, like she could feel the stories in the wood. "It smells like cinnamon," the girl said. "We made rolls," I told her. "Carry on the tradition?" She grinned. "Yes, Mom." We walked the rooms together, pointing at the quirks that make a house human. The stubborn window that only opens if you lift and push. The invisible squeak spot in the hall. They listened like learners. At the end, the woman squeezed my hand. "Thank you," she said. "We'll take care of her." "Please do," I said. "She took care of us." After they left, I cried for the first time since all this started. Not grief, exactly. Like gratitude and goodbye had a baby. On the day of the key exchange, Claire met me on the porch with a quiet smile. "You ready?" "As I'll ever be," I said. Jason stood beside me in a clean shirt I'm pretty sure he ironed for the first time in years. Brooke wore a denim jacket and a look that had softened into something human again. We handed over the keys together, 2 sets, plus the old heart-shaped one that never worked but felt like part of the family. The buyers took them with smiles that looked like vows. Claire snapped a quick photo, us on one side, them on the other, the house in the middle like a pastor joining 2 timelines. "Good luck," the husband said. "Good stewardship," I replied. We loaded Jason's last box into the trunk. He closed it with a final thump that sounded like punctuation. He turned to me and tried to speak, failed, tried again. "I'm sorry," he said finally. Not just for the sentence, for the whole season that grew it. "I know," I said. "Me too." Brooke surprised me. She hugged me. Awkward. Real. "Thank you for the deposit," she said into my shoulder, "and for not saying I told you so." "I don't like that sentence," I said. "It doesn't move anybody anywhere." They drove off to their month-to-month. The buyers went inside their new story. Claire squeezed my arm and left me with the porch for one last minute. The maple tree rattled its leaves like it was laughing kindly. I sat on the top step with my dog, and the world didn't end. It just turned the page. That evening, I unlocked the door to my condo. Priya had left a small plant on the counter and a note. "Welcome home, Linda." I set my keys in a dish and walked to the balcony. The park glowed under those soft lamps cities use when they want to feel like towns. A group of teenagers practiced a dance routine by the swings. Someone flew a kite in the last light even though there was no wind, just stubborn hope. I brewed tea and unpacked one box, the one with my mother's quilt and 2 photo frames, and the cookbook with Tom's gravy stained into page 43. I called the kids and told them they could pick the first sleepover night. Ethan shouted, "Friday!" like he'd won something big. Maybe he had. Before bed, I wrote a community post for my channel, the way I do when I want to tell the truth to everyone at once. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for a family is give it a new floor plan. Boundaries don't end love. They redirect it to where it can grow. If you're living with a sentence that keeps bruising you, change the room it's spoken in. I hit post, turned off the lamp, and let the condo teach me its night sounds. Gentle, new, unbusy. The first Friday in my new condo, I woke up before sunrise. Old habits don't retire just because the address changes. I made coffee strong enough to remember the past, then stepped onto the balcony wrapped in Tom's old robe. Below, the park glowed faintly in the morning mist. Somewhere a jogger's shoes whispered on the pavement. Somewhere a dog barked like it had good news. I smiled. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like I was living under someone's opinion. I was just living. That afternoon, Ethan and Lily came for their first sleepover. They arrived like a storm. Bags, laughter, plastic dinosaurs. Brooke and Jason helped carry their things upstairs. Jason looked around the condo, eyes landing on the framed photo of him as a kid. "You already made it cozy," he said softly. "I had practice," I told him, 30 years worth. Brooke handed me a small potted fern. "Housewarming gift," she said. "It's alive, so you'll have to take care of it." I smiled. I'm good at keeping things alive. She met my eyes, and for once, there wasn't defensiveness there, just something that looked a lot like humility. Before they left, Jason asked if I had everything I needed. I said, "Everything, except someone to eat too many cookies with." He grinned, pointed to Ethan. "He's your guy." When the door closed behind them, I exhaled. The kids ran straight to the balcony yelling, "Nana, look!" You can see the swings. "I can," I said, "and that's where we'll be after pancakes tomorrow." Later that night, I tucked them in. Lily asked, "Nana, why did you move?" I sat on the edge of the bed, smoothing the blanket. Because sometimes people forget how much you do for them. And when that happens, you have to remind them, not by shouting, but by standing up and walking somewhere new. "Like moving?" she said. "Exactly like moving," I smiled. "And sometimes you move so love can find its way back." Ethan, half asleep, mumbled, "Daddy said you're brave." I looked at their peaceful faces and whispered, "Daddy's learning what brave really means." The next morning, Jason came early to pick them up. He brought coffee, 2 cups. I took mine black the way Tom liked it. He leaned against the balcony rail, eyes on the park. "Mum," he said finally, "I found us a place. It's small but near the kids' school. I think it's going to be good." "I'm glad," I said. "It's a fresh start." He nodded. "Brooke, she's been different lately. Softer. She said she wants to apologize." "That's good," I said. "It'll mean more when it's not rehearsed." He chuckled quietly. "You always know when we're rehearsing." "I raised you on truth," I said. "Can't blame me for noticing the tone of fiction." He smiled, then turned serious. "Mum, I didn't realize how much I took you for granted. Not until we started packing. You left love in every corner of that house. Notes in drawers, recipes tucked into cookbooks, even the smell of your coffee in the walls. Brooke cried when we wiped the counters. She said it felt like we were cleaning away grace." I reached out and touched his sleeve. "Grace doesn't live in walls, son. It lives in people who learn." He nodded. "I think we're learning." "Then it's not wasted," I said. That weekend, Brooke called. Her voice was hesitant but sincere. "Linda, I found a thank you card I wrote months ago and never gave you. It was for helping with the kids during flu season. I never said thank you properly." "Well," I said, "better late than polite, never." She laughed, a sound I hadn't heard from her since the first Christmas they moved in. "You were right," she said. "Respect costs more than rent." "Worth every cent," I replied. A week later, I hosted my first dinner in the condo. Nothing fancy. Roasted chicken, mashed potatoes, and green beans with bacon because that's tradition now. Jason, Brooke, the kids, even my neighbor Priya came. The condo was too small for a formal dining table, so we sat close, elbows bumping, laughter overlapping. At one point, Ethan looked around and said, "Nana, this feels like the old house." I smiled. That's because the love came with us. After dinner, we played cards until Lily fell asleep on the couch. Jason helped me clean up, stacking plates, drying hands, doing all the things I used to do alone. He said, "You know, Mom, when you sold the house, I thought you'd destroyed something." I waited. "But you didn't," he continued. "You just moved the story to a new chapter. You gave us the chance to rewrite how we act." I set down the dish towel. "That's all I wanted, to teach without yelling." He looked at me, eyes shining in the soft kitchen light. "You did, Mom." Loud and clear. The months rolled by, seasons changed. I watched spring unfold from my balcony, birds returning, kids chasing kites in the park, the world forgiving itself in tiny green ways. Jason and Brooke invited me over for dinner one evening. Their new house was smaller but brighter, full of color and laughter. Brooke showed me a painting Lily had made, our old house, drawn in crayon, with big hearts floating above it. Ethan ran up, waving a school project. "I wrote about you, Nana. The topic was a person who taught me something important." "Want to hear it?" "Of course," I said. He read, proudly stumbling over his own handwriting. "My Nana taught me that helping doesn't mean giving money. It means being kind even when you're sad, and never letting anyone forget who owns their heart." I blinked fast and smiled. "That's beautiful, sweetheart." Brooke squeezed my hand under the table. "He gets that from you." "Maybe," I said, "but I think he teaches me too." Soft rehook cue. If you're listening and you've ever been told you're too old to make change, don't believe it. Age doesn't dull your power, it distills it. By the end of summer, I had turned my condo into a home. The walls wore family photos, the shelves held stories, and the balcony had a bird feeder that got busier than a coffee shop at sunrise. Every Saturday, the kids came for pancakes. Jason started mowing my small patch of grass even though I told him not to. Brooke began dropping off leftovers and homemade pies. They were helping now, not because they owed me, but because they wanted to. That's what healing looks like, Not instant, just honest. One Sunday after church, Jason and I took a walk through the park. He said, "Mum, the new owners of the house invited us over. They want to show us what they've done with it. You want to go?" I hesitated. "Maybe someday." He nodded. "They kept your garden. Said it still blooms better than theirs." I smiled. "That garden knows who it grew for." We stopped by the pond, watched ducks paddle. Jason said quietly, "You know when I told you that awful thing that you eat but don't help? I didn't mean to hurt you." "I know," I said, "but sometimes the smallest sentence builds the biggest wall." "The good news is, walls can be climbed." He nodded, wiping his eyes with the back of his hand. "You're something else, Mom." "No," I said, "just someone who finally listened to herself." That night, back home, I sat by the window writing in my journal, a habit that stayed with me longer than most people have. The page was simple. He understands now. Not about the money, about the respect. And maybe that was the point all along. I closed the book and smiled at the plant Brooke had given me. It was growing tall, green, and stubborn, just like me. Weeks later, I got a call from Claire, my realtor turned friend. "Guess what?" she said. "Remember the buyers? They want to invite you to their housewarming." I laughed. What would I even say? "Say thank you," she said, "for giving them a chance to write their story." I thought about it for a moment. "All right," I said, "but I'll bring cookies." Old houses like familiar smells. The house looked both the same and completely different. Fresh paint, new furniture, but the spirit was still there. The warmth, the way light found its favorite corner. The new family's daughter showed me her room. She'd hung fairy lights around the window and painted the walls morning sky blue. She said, "It's my favorite color." I smiled. "Mine too." Before I left, the mother walked me to the door. "You raised good energy here," she said. "You can feel it. Thank you." As I stepped off the porch, I looked back one last time. Tom would have liked what I did. He always said, "Homes are just chapters, Lynn. Don't let anyone write yours in pencil." When I got home that night, I recorded a short message for my viewers, my quiet little community that listens to stories like these while folding laundry or sipping tea. "My loves," I began softly. "Sometimes life will corner you into silence, make you question your worth, make you believe that love means staying even when you're shrinking. But here's the truth. Love without respect is a cage. You're never too old to walk out with grace, lock the door gently, and build again." If this story reached your heart, don't forget to subscribe. Stories fade, but if you subscribe, you'll always find your way back to me. And I'll be here, telling you the truth, even when it hurts, even when it heals. Then I whispered, "Good night," and ended the recording. I turned off the lamp, looked out at the park, and felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Freedom without apology.